Good morning, everyone. Uh, you have been waiting, not impatiently or not only impatiently, in the specific, layered, sometimes exhausting quality of someone who has been holding space for something without always being certain that the holding is pointed at something real. Who has kept a door open, not dramatically, not with the grand gesture of someone making a statement about their own faithfulness, simply by not closing it, by continuing day after day to leave the possibility available, even on the days when leaving it available felt like the least sensible of the available options. The waiting is almost over. That is what Spirit is bringing through today, simply, directly, without the extended build-up that sometimes delays the most important thing until the middle of a reading when it should have been the first thing said. What you have been waiting for is coming, not as a vague, atmospheric sense of something positive approaching, as the specific, located, already in motion arrival of something that has been making its way toward you through whatever path was available. Take what is yours today. What resonates, let it settle without the immediately reaching for reasons it cannot be true response that long waiting sometimes installs in the person doing the waiting. What does not, release it gently. But for those of you who felt something stir when I said the waiting is almost over, who felt the specific, slightly breathless quality of someone being told that what they have been holding space for is genuinely approaching this reading, carries exactly what that stirring was responding to. Let me speak about the quality of what is coming because May carries a specific energy and Spirit is pressing it forward with intention. Not the tentative, let us see how this develops energy of something still deciding its own direction. The arrived at, this is where I am going energy of something that has completed the deliberation and is now simply moving toward you through the specific channels that are available with the patient, unhurried, I know where I am going quality of something whose destination is not in question. Soft sigh. The rose in this reading's energy is not decoration, it is the specific symbol of something offered freely, not extracted, not negotiated, not contingent on the right circumstances aligning first. Simply offered, with the open handed quality of someone who has decided that what they carry is worth giving, regardless of what the giving requires. And what is being offered toward you through the energy of this particular season, through the specific convergence of timing and readiness that Spirit is pointing toward today, has that quality. Freely given, without the conditions that managed love tends to attach. Simply here, for you. Now let me speak about who is coming, because the reading is specific and deserves specific attention, rather than the vague, could apply to anyone quality that general readings sometimes produce. What Spirit is showing me is not a stranger, not someone arriving from a direction you have had no indication of. Someone already present in the field of your life, in the vicinity, in the edges, in the specific quality of someone who has been oriented toward you without yet having found the moment or the form that allows the orientation to become something visible and declared. Their orientation is real. has been real for longer than the silence around it has suggested. And what May is offering, what this specific energy of this season is providing as the context for what is approaching, is the conditions, the specific configuration of timing and readiness and the opening of something that was previously closed that makes the movement from invisible to visible finally genuinely available. Oh, hear what is forming toward you, because this voice has been waiting for its own moment and spirit is pressing it forward today. I have been thinking about what I wanted to say for long enough that the thinking has become its own kind of answer. Because you do not spend this much time thinking about what to say to someone unless what you want to say matters, unless the person you are trying to find the words for matters in a way that makes the finding of words feel like it deserves more care than words usually get. I have been giving it that care. And what the care has produced, what all the thinking and the trying to find the right form has arrived at, is something simpler than I expected. I am coming toward you. That is the distilled version of everything the thinking produced. Not tentatively, not with the hedged 1 foot in, 1 foot out quality that has perhaps characterized how things have been between us until now. With the specific, decided, I know what I want quality of someone who has finished the deliberation and is now simply moving in your direction with everything that the waiting on my own side produced, with the clarity that the thinking gave me, and with the rose not as symbol, but as the simple, open handed offering of someone who has decided that what they feel is worth bringing into the open, regardless of what the bringing requires. I have been waiting too. That is the thing I most want you to understand, that the waiting has not been one sided, that the space you have been holding has been held on both sides, that the door you left open is one I have been standing near, not yet through it, not yet in the full, committed, this is where I am choosing to be way, but present at it, aware of it, working toward the specific quality of readiness that walking through it properly requires. That readiness is here now. In the specific this season, something has shifted quality of a moment that feels different from the moments that preceded it. Not dramatically different. The shift is not announced with fanfare. Quietly different. In the way that genuine internal readiness shifts things not by changing the circumstances, but by changing how the person standing in the circumstances relates to what is available. What was previously not yet possible feels now possible. What was previously not yet ready feels now ready. And the movement that readiness calls for is toward you. Soft sigh. Oh, feel the quality of that mutual waiting finding its conclusion. Because that is not one person approaching and another receiving. That is two people who have both been holding space, both been present at the door, both been building toward a readiness that is now in the same season, arriving simultaneously. The specific and rare convergence of two people who were always going to arrive at this point, who were always building toward it, finding themselves finally, genuinely in the same place at the same time. Now I want to speak about what the waiting has built in you, because the waiting was never simply waiting. It was building in the specific, unglamorous, nobody awards you for this way that genuine interior work always builds without announcement, without visible evidence of progress, in the quiet accumulation of someone becoming more ready without always feeling like the becoming is happening. You are more ready than when the waiting began. Not just more patient, more genuinely equipped for what is approaching, more honest about what you need, more capable of receiving something real without immediately redirecting it into something more manageable, more able to stand in the full presence of genuine love, freely given, openly offered, without the protective mechanisms that previous seasons made necessary, but that this season does not require. The waiting built that every day of it. Even the days that felt like simply enduring, especially those days, contributed to the specific quality of readiness that makes what is approaching something that can actually land, rather than something that passes through a person who is not yet equipped to hold it. You are equipped now, built by the waiting into someone capable of receiving at the scale of what is coming. And what is coming is scaled to that readiness, proportionate to the person you have become through the building. Not what you could have received at the beginning of the waiting, what you can receive now, which is more genuine, more complete, more exactly fitted to the specific shape of who you actually are rather than who you were still becoming when the waiting began. May carries this, the specific energy of a season that has historically, in the symbolic traditions that tarot draws from, represented the flowering of things that were germinating through the cold, the breaking through of what was always going to arrive but needed the particular conditions of this specific moment to find its expression. What was germinating in your situation, in the quiet, in the waiting, in the held space and the open door, is ready to flower now. In this season, through the specific arrival of someone who has been building their own readiness in parallel with yours. Two germinations reaching their flowering point simultaneously. That is the image Spirit is offering for what is approaching, not one person arriving at another who has simply been waiting, but two processes completing at the same time and producing, in their simultaneous completion, the conditions for something genuinely new, something neither of you could have produced alone or earlier, something that required both of you to be exactly as ready as you are right now in this specific season, at this specific point in the building that preceded it. Soft sigh. Stay open, not with the anxious, is this the moment quality of someone who has been waiting long enough to over monitor every arriving thing for signs of what was promised. With the quiet, grounded, I trust the timing quality of someone who has done the internal work of the waiting and who can now, from that work, simply be present for what arrives, without grasping, without managing, simply open, available, ready in the specific built through everything way of someone whose readiness is not performed but earned. They are coming with the rose, with the openness of someone who has also been building toward this moment. In the specific this season finally the conditions are right quality of something that was always going to arrive, that has been arriving in the invisible through the entire duration of the waiting, and that is now, finally, close enough to the surface of the visible world to be named as approaching rather than simply hoped for. The waiting is almost over. And what ends the waiting, what arrives to fill the space you held with such patient, unglamorous, entirely worthy faithfulness, is the specific and genuine love of someone who has been building toward you with the same quality of quiet determination that you have been building toward them. Two people, one arriving moment this season, the rose freely given, and you finally, completely built for this, ready to receive it. If this reading found you today, if something here confirmed that the waiting has been pointed at something real and that the something real is genuinely approaching, stay close. Subscribe and come back, because the story of what arrives when the waiting finally ends and what two people who built their readiness in parallel create together is one worth witnessing all the way through. And the next reading will be there for every blooming step of what May makes possible.